doing tonight? Came on tonight to vlog a little bit about this missing girl in Tennessee, eastern Tennessee. Her name is Summer Wells. Apparently she went missing about 6:30 in the evening. The story sounds real suspicious to me because, you know, the area in which this little girl lived and her family, they live out in the woods, and their house backs up to a national forest. And there's no way, okay, they had all kinds of theories on what happened to this little girl. They said, you know, because the father had all kinds of assault charges and domestic violence against the mom and all that, but none of that panned out. They said the kids, the two older brothers, like to shoot people with BB guns. They thought maybe they shot her, accidentally killed her, and, you know, with a BB, because, you know, or a pellet, because a pellet can't kill a person. And they thought maybe they buried it, but none of that panned out. Every accusation toward the family having something to do with this little girl missing has not panned out to nothing. Now, this little girl was in the basement playing. Now, mind you, they had a patio that went from the basement out to the backyard. And the house, remember, backs up to a national forest. So there's the yard and then the national forest, which is right there, the trees. There's no way to get through these woods, because the thicket is just thick. It's just, no man can't even walk through it without a chainsaw. So I'm thinking this was a cryptid meal ticket. That sounds a little harsh. But a Sasquatch will sit there and stalk their prey. Humans are the most easiest prey for a Sasquatch to get because we're the dumbest. They know how to mimic what we know as being friendly. They can mimic little kids, they can mimic anybody. So I'm thinking that the Sasquatch maybe mimicked some kids playing. The little girl went out the back door and boom, she was scooped up. You know. The thing is that proving that, you know. Now, I try to get as much information on this kidnapping, or this, what they're calling a kidnapping. There's been allegations maybe someone took her into child slavery and put her in the trade, you know, kidnap trade, and put her in a, you know, one of those trade places, and one of those where they, you know, sell off little kids, you know. But that never panned out to anything either, because this little girl was playing in the basement, and the only way she could really leave the basement is either go back up the stairs, which she never did, or go out the back door, which is the basement door to the backyard. And there's these trees and bushes are so thick, for someone would have to be, you know, even me with my skills, I wouldn't be able to fit through these. I would never be able to maneuver through these trees and bushes, you know, not without a chainsaw. I mean, there's no way. Anyway, what I'm saying is that sounds very much like a cryptid, a Sasquatch, a dogman. Not so much Mothman, but like a thunderbird. A thunderbird is a giant feathered bird, it has feathers, as big as a pterodactyl, but has feathers. Because every time someone goes missing in or around a national park, they go missing without a trace. No signs, no nothing. And a lot of times they find the bodies within 500 to 1,000 yards from where the person went missing. Usually dead, and usually stuffed inside a log or stuffed up in a tree. You see, Sasquatch don't bury their food. They like to ferment it a little bit, you know? Now, this sounds harsh and mean and rude, but the police have no clue. I actually called down there to try to get as much information on this case as I could. And one of the officers who did talk to me, he feels big time that it was a Sasquatch thing. Because he too, on the side, I'm not going to mention his name because that would, give, mentioning his name would give him problems with the department he works for. But he knows about the infrasound that Sasquatch gives off to confuse his prey. He knows about, the camouflage, and he's a big study. He studies a lot of these creatures because he sees them all the time in that area. It's a big area known for cryptids. And there's always been a lot more disappearances besides just the little girl. It was a woman that was her aunt disappeared. I guess the aunt went riding her horse along the edge of the woods, found a trail to go into, and started feeling dizzy and woozy and stuff. And those are the symptoms of infrasound being used on her. Apparently, she kind of fell off the horse, and she was with a couple other people. She said, "I'll be back in a minute." She just walked in the woods and boom, she disappeared. She was no more than maybe 100 feet from these people. She's gone. No trace, no nothing. There's no cliffs there that she got, but she's gone. And so it's like, that was a Sasquatch attack, definitely. This case has Sasquatch and Cryptid written all over it. That the one officer wants me to come down incognito to Tennessee because he heard of me, he heard of my studies. And he wants me to come down and investigate. But if I do, I gotta do it in silence. I said, man, if I come down there, I need full cooperation with the police department because I'm not going in those woods alone. Which means I might have to have some hired guns go with me. And a lot of people who live in that area are trigger happy. I don't want them shooting at just anything that moves, especially me, So it's like, he's going to talk to the sheriff down there to see if we can get some investigation going down there. Because I really feel that this is a cryptid situation. Now, a lot of people live in a black and white world where Sasquatch and cryptids, they don't exist. But see, those people that live in a black and white world have to come down to the gray area where the rest of us live. We know these cryptids exist. We know what they're capable of. But to convince the rest of the world, that's what we've been trying for hundreds of years to do. I feel that eventually one of the explorers, I think a YouTuber, regardless of who he is going to be the one to bring to light that these creatures actually exist. That all these cryptids that we say exist and that we hunt actually do exist, and they do have the same behaviors that we talk about. So, I feel it was a Sasquatch that took the little girl's aunt. They got a taste for blood, then they come back and they sit and watch the house, watch the people. People are the easiest prey, okay? We're very inquisitive. We like to, we're very easy, we're very curious, and these creatures know it. So we're easy to lure out in the open where they can snatch us up, okay? We're easy to get separated from our group. This is why I say never go in the woods when you know you're in an area that has Sasquatch. Never go in the woods without a sidearm. When I first talked to the sheriff about this, he thought I was a nut job. He gave me the phone to his deputy, and I talked to his deputy. His deputy actually believes in these things. The sheriff's a little on board with it, but he'd have to get the support of the public, and that's going to be very hard to do because you have a lot of skeptics in this area. Even though a lot of people who live in that area, for their families been generations in that area, seen these creatures, know they exist, probably still won't back the fact up that this little girl may have been food for a Sasquatch. I guess it sounds mean and harsh, But you have to come to every real possibility, every reality, look inside a log, look in a tree, okay? Sasquatch don't bury their food. They put it up out in the elements where it can ferment, because they like their food fermented. You know, I mean, it's a theory I have. It's a theory I've seen. Okay, I've seen it, but I can't prove the theory because, like I said, there isn't enough evidence gathered over the years to prove any of this. But, okay, I mean, they checked out the dad, and they checked out the oldest brother, who was at the time 19, who was in jail for different types of batteries and assaults and everything else. Nothing they checked with the family came anywhere close to anything they were. She wasn't traded off into some kind of slave trade or not. That's all been checked out and thrown under the rug, saying, "Hey, man, that shit doesn't pan to nothing." So what you got left? All you got left is cryptid. And for years I've been saying these creatures have been hunting us. And for years people have been telling me I was nuts. You know? And a lot of cryptid hunters out there, real cryptid hunters, might just agree with me that this was a cryptid attack. David Flies, he studied 411 missing in national parks. Now, national parks are excellent feeding grounds for these creatures, because these creatures know we cannot carry a sidearm into a national park because it's highly illegal. They probably don't know why, they just know we don't do it. So it's very easy for them to scoop us up and take us up and have a meal someplace. I've talked to David Flies a few times on this matter. He said at first that's what he thought. He said on some of the cases he probably believed it, but on some of the cases he won. Some of the cases he proved it to be just foul play. But the cops have led every search on foul play with this little girl, and they come up to dead ends. They've got no leads whatsoever. The name of the little girl is Summer Williams. She's a little blonde, 5-year-old, 40-pound girl. Summer Wells, that's it. Summer Wells is her name. And this area in eastern Tennessee is where the Appalachians start or are at, and it's right on the edge there where it's connected with the other states. So it's a big, vast area known for Sasquatch sightings, known for dogman sightings, mothman sightings, thunderbird sightings. I mean, all kinds of cryptids hang out. It's a big mecca for them. And there's other cryptids that I haven't mentioned that are out there that I've studied, like the gnomes. What we call gnomes, we all think of gnomes about being maybe a foot tall. I'm talking about the gnomes that are 3 to 4 feet tall. They're like little people, but they're called gnomes, okay? They've been known to steal kids. In Alaska, witnesses have reported these little people. There's stories on these little people snatching up kids, you know? I have a big feeling that this is a cryptid situation. Now, I may be wrong, but I've read this case inside and out. There's no other possibility a person can come to. I mean, the case is still open. I mean, it's only been 2 weeks. And they've been searching high and low for this little girl, and they haven't found her. And being that I'm a, cryptozoologist, I guess you want to call me, a study of cryptids, it sounds very much like a cryptid attack. Because the cryptid would sit back and wait for its perfect opportunity to get that right meal, to get that meal. You know? There's been cases, one case up in, I think it was in Colorado or in Wyoming, someplace that Family went up to a really secure, secluded spot. It's a public campground, just no running water, showers, just, a couple of picnic tables and a couple of places. A little boy went missing. And he only walked about 10 feet from Grandpa. And boom, Grandpa turned around and he was gone. 3 or 4 days later, they found him within 500 to 1,000 yards, stuffed inside a log with his neck broken. And the liver took it out of him. That is Sasquatch all over, because they eat the liver and the heart. Pretty much they discard the rest. That's where the nutrients is. So, I don't mean to sound mean, I don't mean to sound rude, but I mean, what other leads do you have? These officers and these government officials have to start opening up. Now, I know the government knows about these creatures, the sub-government, okay? Which is a private government that we never hear about. They're the ones that study these creatures. They're the ones that know these creatures exist and what they're about. I want to go down there so bad, but like I said, if I ain't got full support of the police department to back me up, I'm not going in those woods alone. Because if it's a type of creature I think it is, it ain't your standard 9-footer. It's one of the 16-footers that come down from up north. They do come down. And those things are, I don't know, man. I'm hoping that I'm totally wrong. I really do. But I don't think I am. I mean, they exhausted all possibilities on the family, any type of slave trade or selling the kids. They went through every possible scenario with his family and everything come up to a dead end, but this girl is still missing. Out the backyard, National Forest, Sasquatch knows that we can't carry guns in there, and we're prime meal tickets for them. I mean, it makes common sense. Any cryptid hunter that's watching this vlog knows that I'm onto something. But they know I'm going to have one hell of a hard time proving this. Even if I go down there, I'm going to have a hard time proving it, because when these creatures attack a human, they don't leave no trace. They're very good at what they do. And people have been telling me for years, I'm not, except for other cryptid hunters, because they know. They've seen the stuff I've seen. Hell, some of them, you've seen more stuff than I've seen. Now, these newer cryptid hunters out there, they're telling me they've seen orbs. I've never experienced that, but I'm not going to say that they don't exist, because that's just one part of Sasquatch I've never experienced. So there's a lot of cryptid hunters that have a different opinion on these creatures. But one thing I do know for sure, that Sasquatch, Dogman, and Mothman are all on top of the food chain. We aren't. We're like maybe third or fourth on the food chain. When you go in the woods, Sasquatch is in the woods. Sasquatch is apex predator. You, my friend, are dinner. That's all they see us as. They don't see us as equals. And the biggest thing I hate is a lot of these newer Sasquatch hunters, which I really advise against, do not gift Sasquatch. Do not gift them, because they see that as a sign of weakness. Oh, you're leaving me a gift? Here, I'll leave you a gift. I'll lure you in. I'll make you think I'm your friend. And when you get, trust me, close enough to where I can come out and actually put it, I'm going to snatch you up. That has been proven several times. In fact, seen by plenty of witnesses that has what happened. And, of course, all police reports will say it's a bear attack, when they know damn well it wasn't a bear attack. When you got witnesses that can prove it wasn't a bear attack. Because people don't want to believe. And when people start believing, they can open their minds to new horizons. There are other things on this earth besides man that causes havoc. Now, I don't believe in too much in wormholes, but on another sense, when watching David Goliath and some of his theories, I actually am starting to believe in wormholes, but not Not other, I mean, there might be other dimensions, but we have no wormholes to get to those other dimensions. Like, we could, for instance, you've heard the stories of people walking down a trail and end up 7 miles away within 5, 10 seconds, not realize they're that far away. That's a wormhole that we have no idea where it came from. We don't know. We're just walking, and we're out in the middle of nowhere in no time. Now I don't know how to explain that other than a wormhole. Not a time travel thing. Just a wormhole. Just a doorway that opens up because maybe Sasquatch knows about these wormholes. Okay, but I don't believe that Sasquatch can activate these wormholes at any given time. Their cloaking ability is where the hair reflects the light to them camouflage. That I've seen several times. They can use the infrasound to confuse their prey. They can mimic sound to make it sound like little kids are playing around, which of course would lure this little girl up. Infrasound confuses her, boom, camouflage, right up to her, scooped her up. Okay? I really feel that this is a cryptid attack. I really do. Because everything against this family has been exhausted. And nothing's ever been true. Everything comes back negative. And then, a couple of weeks or a month or so earlier, the aunt got swooped up by something, in front of witnesses. They don't know what it was. Her aunt. I mean, the whole area is like one big family, aunts, uncles, cousins, second cousin, all in one area. And they're in, I mean, this thick of the woods is just thick. It goes on for hundreds of miles. So, maybe not hundreds, but a couple 100 miles anyway. Just big old national forest out there. Appalachian mountains and stuff are all in. It's the start of this area. Just a big area. So, real good Sasquatch ground. Place. A lot of caves that have methane in them is where you'll find a lot of Sasquatch. We can't go in there because we can't breathe it, but they can. They can breathe that methane. They sleep inside these caves. A lot of that smell you smell is methane gas that gets trapped in their fur. The smell does. So a lot of that is methane gas that they get from these caves. Well, that's all I have to say for now for the vlog. But I'm saying this is all theory. I'm hoping to God I'm wrong. But of course, I'll never know whether I'm wrong or not unless someone actually investigates my theories. And having a full police department investigate a cryptozoologist theory, how they think cryptozoologists are nuts. They don't believe in that crap. They might say they do just to pacify you, but they don't use us for nothing. But all I know is this is my theory, and I'm hoping to God I'm wrong. Oh well. I pray I'm wrong. What I'm praying is that this little girl maybe went out and played, and maybe she walked into the woods, fell asleep, and walked a little bit too far. Maybe she's trying to get back. Maybe she's trapped someplace and trying to get back or something. Wandering around, eating grubs or something. That's what I'm hoping. And eventually we'll find her alive and well, and that's what I'm hoping. But I don't know. I hope so. I pray that she's alright, but if not, I hope they check into my theories, or any cryptozoologist theories. Well, I'm Jim with Life's Adventures, keeping it real. Y'all have a good night. Stay safe. God bless you.